This is critical thinking on immunity, and here are some of the questions. So here you have a number of statements and you have to choose the incorrect one. And here is a difference between autoimmunity and AIDS, and quite often students make a mistake in this, hence I have put this question in. And this is about something that you actually learned earlier in the last unit, which is on RhoGAM, and I'm asking you to apply it here. So let's look at this first question where it asks you to choose the incorrect statement. Now let's look at these. So the first one, which is HCl and lysozyme inhibit microbial activity. This is a true statement because HCl is acidic in nature and a lysozyme also slightly acidic. Both of them, they inhibit microbial activity. That means any microbes or bacteria or which get into the body, they are prevented from multiplying and carrying out their activity. So this is not an incorrect statement. The next one, which is tears, saliva and urine flush out and prevent microbial colonization. Now when bacteria get into the body, they multiply and form what is known as colonies. And so this is what it's saying. So they prevent that colonies being formed. And it is true because tears, any bacteria which may be, or any microbes which may be present in the conjunctival sac, when tears flow, they flush it out, as does saliva and urine. So all three of them do flush out microbes and prevent their colonization. So this again is a true statement. Mucus in the respiratory tract acts as a first line of defense. This is again true because the first line of defense consists of the skin and mucous membranes. So in the respiratory tract, the lining epithelium, which is the mucous membrane, is the one which produces mucus, and this mucus traps microbes and various other substances which may be harmful. So it is a first line of defense. So this is also true. The next statement, phagocytic cells such as neutrophils and macrophages are a first line of defense. Now this is an incorrect statement. So this would be the answer you would choose because the first line of defense is a mucous membrane, as we saw here, and skin. So skin and mucous membrane. So these two, so I don't have a question on skin. But skin and mucous membrane are the first line of defense and cells are the second line of defense. So here one thing you should notice is this gives you an example of what phagocytic cells are, which are neutrophils, macrophages and monocytes. So these are not the first line of defense, but they are the second line of defense. So this is the incorrect statement. And just to go back a little bit on skin up here, see, just as I showed you that HCl and lysozymes inhibit microbial activity, sweat does the same thing in skin. So when you sweat, it actually flushes out and prevents microbial colonization, plus sweat is slightly acidic, so that again inhibits microbial activity too. And then let's look at the last statement, which is a foreign body irritating the conjunctiva and causing tears to flow breaches the first line of defense. That means should a foreign body enter your eye and irritate the conjunctiva, that means the first line of defense has been breached. This is true because when you say conjunctiva, that is mucous membrane. The lining epithelium is mucous membrane. So therefore, this is the first line of defense. So this is also a true statement. Hence, in this question, this is the incorrect statement and that would be your answer. Now let's look at the next question, which is this one, and asks you about the difference between autoimmunity and AIDS. And first of all, it's a good idea to just look at these words. Autoimmunity means immunity to, the immune system is reacting against self. Auto means self. AIDS, on the other hand, is called acquired immune deficiency syndrome. So see, the immune system is deficient. So these are the two main differences that you can see just by the two words. So let's look at the answers. Obviously, this one is not correct because there is a difference. The next one, the immune system has not developed in autoimmunity. This is also false. The immune system is developed. It just is that there is a problem here. The immune system is reacting towards itself because the recognition apparatus has broken down. So therefore, this is false. The third statement, in AIDS, the lymphocytes that are weakly reactive to self-antigens are made self-tolerant, and the strongly reactive ones, that means the strongly reactive lymphocytes, are destroyed. This part of the statement is true by itself. But this is not what happens in AIDS. This is what happens normally in your body when the immune system is developing. The lymphocytes, which are this is the way the body prevents. It does not destroy itself. It prevents cells from destroying their own antigens, because any lymphocyte that is weakly reactive to self antigens, those are made tolerant, and the very strongly reactive lymphocytes to self antigens, those are destroyed. And this is one way the body does not destroy itself. But this is not what happens in AIDS. This is what happens normally in your body. So therefore this statement is wrong. And therefore, which leaves us with this statement, which is that one is breakdown of recognition apparatus, yes, and that is autoimmunity. So autoimmunity is where the recognition apparatus breaks down, so the immune system attacks self. And the other is a poorly functioning immune system, yes, because this is an immune deficiency situation where the helper T cells, which are also known as CD4 cells, so the helper T cells are destroyed by the virus, the HIV, and when they are destroyed, these are the most important cells in the immune system. When they are destroyed, they prevent the other cells from functioning properly. Therefore, you have a very poorly functioning immune system. So therefore, this is the correct answer for this question. Now let's look at the last question, which is when you give RhoGAM to an Rh negative mother, what are you giving her? So let's see, what is RhoGAM. RhoGAM is synthetic antibodies. So these are antibodies which are antibodies against the antigen D. So you can call them Rh antibodies. So when you give RhoGAM, that's what you're giving her. You're giving her preformed antibodies. Now you're already giving her antibodies, so that means you're not allowing the body to make antibodies of its own, but you're giving her preformed antibodies. So this is passive immunity. So it has to be one of these two. So these two you can discount. Now, since you're giving this from outside, it's not something that is naturally occurring, a naturally occurring situation, but you are injecting these antibodies into her, the correct answer here would be passive artificial immunity. Now, one thing to understand is that whenever you're dealing with passive immunity, you always deal with words such as giving somebody immunoglobulins, which are antibodies, giving somebody immune sera, which again, serum contains antibodies, or for example here, like I told you, give somebody a RhoGAM. So when you do all of this, then you're talking about passive immunity. Now, when that immunity passes naturally through the body, for example, a mother nursing the child and then through the milk, the antibodies flow and go into the child, then that would be passive natural immunity. When we talk of active immunity, we always use the words such as vaccines or giving somebody a shot, like a flu shot. So, you say these are some words that you use when you are talking about active immunity. When you do this, what you do is in either of these, you give the person antigens, and these antigens may be either these are dead antigens or they are changed in a certain manner. But when they go into the body, they provoke the body to produce antibodies. So when the body produces antibodies, it's active, it's doing some work. So therefore, it becomes active immunity. When you give vaccines and shots, then obviously you're giving it from outside, so it is an active artificial immunity. Active natural immunity would be when it's naturally acquired. For example, suppose the chickenpox virus gets into your body, or the smallpox virus, or streptococcal bacterial infection. Then the infection has got into your body, and it's the antigen in the microbe which causes your body to produce antibodies, and therefore you have active natural immunity. So therefore, whenever you get questions, read everything very, very carefully, think critically, and then come to the right choice.